What have you seen in your second-year quarterback, Drake Maye? Is there any similarities that you see between him and Brady?
I see a lot of similarities. They both have a sense of humility, and they're understated. And I saw Drake last year when we had that horrible record. He did something that Tommy did in the locker room in the early years.
You know, right now, Drake Maye's playing with the greatest tight end in the history of the New England Patriots, Hunter Henry. Wow. I mean, this guy's like electric.
Wow. Once again.
You do the humble brag, he shoots
I knew
you
I was
down.
coming back at you.
I
knew I was coming back.
You know, Coach Vrabel always challenged me before it happened, to go out there and step out of my comfort zone to lead. And I think this was, for me, I kept on saying, I feel like I got to play well and win some games.
He used to go around to every offensive lineman, even after we had a bad loss, and in a genuine way, make them feel he really respected what they did. And
the New England Patriots are back, and they're back with a vengeance that nobody saw coming. After years of mediocrity, after the dynasty crumbled, after watching Tom Brady win another ring in Tampa while Foxborough became a graveyard of broken dreams, the Pats are playoff-bound again. But here's the kicker that's got the entire NFL world buzzing. Their second-year quarterback might just be the second coming of the greatest to ever do it. Drake Maye. Remember that name, because if Robert Kraft has his way, if Mike Vrabel's culture-building masterclass continues, if the football gods decide New England hasn't suffered enough, this kid from North Carolina might be the one to bring the glory days back to Gillette Stadium. Now, before you scoff, before you roll your eyes and say, here we go again with another Brady comparison, let me stop you right there. This isn't coming from some delusional fan on Reddit or a hot take artist trying to go viral. This is coming straight from the owner himself. The man who watched Tom Brady transform from a sixth-round afterthought into the GOAT is now watching Drake Maye with those same hopeful eyes.
they both have a sense of humility, and they're understated. And I saw Drake last year when we had that horrible record. He did something that Tommy did in the locker room in the early years. He used to go around to every offensive lineman, even after we had a bad loss, and in a genuine way, make them feel he really respected what they did. And
listen to those words carefully. Humility, understated, going around to offensive linemen after losses. Does this sound familiar? Because it should. This is exactly what separated Brady from every other talented quarterback who flamed out. The intangibles, the leadership, the respect for the guys in the trenches who don't get the glory. And here's what makes this comparison even more insane. Kraft isn't just talking about similar personalities, he's talking about similar behaviors, specific actions that young Brady took that Maye is now replicating without even knowing the blueprint. That's not coaching, that's not mimicry, that's authentic leadership DNA. But let's pump the brakes for a second and address the elephant in the room. Every team wants their young quarterback to be the next Brady. The Dolphins thought they had him with Tua, the 49ers with Trey Lance, the Bears with Justin Fields. Hell, even the Patriots themselves tried to force Mac Jones into that mold, and we all saw how that turned out. So what makes Drake Maye different? What makes this comparison legitimate and not just desperate wishful thinking from a franchise trying to recapture lightning in a bottle? First, let's talk about the situation. Maye walked into absolute chaos last year. The Patriots were bad, like historically bad by New England standards. And you know what happens to most young quarterbacks when they're thrown into a dumpster fire? They get traumatized, they develop happy feet, they lose confidence, their mechanics fall apart under pressure. Not Drake Maye. This kid took his lumps, kept his head down, and started building relationships, building trust. And trust is the foundation of everything in this league.
I think, offensive side, I think Hunter Henry, Stephon, Diggs, I think, and those guys up front, Morgan and Garrett and those guys up front have done a great job of just trying to let me do my job, as a young kid trying to come in here and do my part, learn the offense.
Notice what he's doing here. He's crediting the veterans. He's acknowledging the offensive line by name. He's showing respect to the guys who keep him upright. This isn't media training. This is genuine appreciation, and veterans can smell the difference between a kid who's just saying the right things and a kid who actually gets it. Now let's talk about Mike Vrabel, because you cannot discuss Drake Maye's development without understanding the culture that's been built around him. Vrabel came back to New England with a mission. He wasn't here to rebuild slowly. He wasn't here to tank for draft picks. He came back to restore Patriot football to its rightful place, and fast.
But he has grown and matured in a way, he always had that hard side to him, which made him such a great player. But he's been amazing with the culture in the locker room.
The 4 H's program, the post-game hugs with every single player, the one-clap recognition system for guys who do things the right way. This isn't gimmicky motivational speaker nonsense. This is accountability mixed with genuine human connection. It's old-school toughness meets modern emotional intelligence, and Drake Maye is soaking it up like a sponge. The kid talked about being the first one to share his 4 H's after Vrabel introduced the concept. Think about that. The second-year quarterback, the face of the franchise, the guy with the most to lose if he shows vulnerability. He went first. That takes courage. That takes self-awareness. That takes the kind of leadership that you cannot teach. But here's where it gets really interesting. Maye admitted he felt like he needed to play well and win games before he could truly be a leader. He felt like he had to earn that right. And Vrabel kept pushing him, kept challenging him to step outside his comfort zone.
Coach Vrabel always challenged me before it happened, to go out there and step out of my comfort zone to lead. And I think this was, for me, I kept on saying, I feel like I got to play well and win some games.
This is exactly what happened with Brady. He didn't walk into that locker room in 2001 acting like Joe Montana. He deferred to the veterans. He built credibility through performance. And when the wins started coming, then the leadership naturally followed. The parallel is almost eerie. Now, let's address the obvious question that every skeptic is screaming at their screen right now. Can he actually play at that elite level? Because personality and leadership are great, but if you can't throw a football accurately under pressure, none of that matters. Fair point. So let's look at what Drake Maye has actually done on the field. The Patriots went from one of the worst records in football last year to the number 2 seed in the AFC. They don't have a single all-pro first-team player, not one. This isn't a team carried by a dominant defense or a Hall of Fame running back. This is a team that wins through collective effort, smart coaching, and clutch quarterback play. Kraft himself pointed this out. They're winning without individual stars dominating. That's a team. That's the Patriot way. That's exactly how those early 1900s dynasties were built. And Drake Maye's arm talent? It's real. He can make every throw. He's mobile enough to extend plays. He's shown poise in big moments. Is he Tom Brady yet? Of course not. Brady is the GOAT for a reason. But does Maye have the potential to reach that stratosphere? The tools are there. The mentality is there. The situation is there. And here's what makes this story even more compelling: the weather. Oh yes, we're talking about playoff football in Foxborough with potential snow in the forecast. And if you know anything about Patriots history, you know that snow games at Gillette Stadium are basically cheat codes.
Is like your superpower, right? And when it snows here, we don't lose.
Teddy Bruschi, Patriots legend, laying down the law. And he's not exaggerating. The Patriots' home playoff record in winter weather is absolutely ridiculous. And now they're about to potentially play in snow against a team from a dome. The football gods are smiling on New England again. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Maye still has to prove it where it matters most, in January football. The Houston game is coming up, and it's going to be a massive test. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter on the edge, a talented secondary, a physical defense that's going to pressure him all game. This is where we'll see if the Brady comparisons hold weight, because Brady's defining characteristic wasn't the regular season dominance, it was the playoff clutch gene, the ability to elevate when everything is on the line, the ability to make the throw when the season depends on it.
offensive coordinator. How much confidence has he given you this week?
Oh, it's huge. His experience of calling plays in big games. There's nothing you can't.
Smart, focused, fundamental. This is a kid who understands playoff football, even though he's barely experienced it. He knows turnovers kill you. He knows field position matters. He knows you can't give elite defenses short fields and expect to win. Josh McDaniels is in his ear, giving him the benefit of decades of playoff experience. Vrabel is preaching toughness and execution. The veterans are protecting him and allowing him to just play quarterback. Everything is aligned for Drake Maye to have his breakout moment. And here's the beautiful irony. Maye himself doesn't even fully grasp the magnitude of what's happening. He talks about needing to appreciate the moment more, about not taking it for granted, about understanding that playoff opportunities don't come around every year.
In this league, you realize that we're one of 8 still working, still practicing today, and 24 are sitting at home going to watch.
That's veteran wisdom from a second-year player. That's someone who's already learned the harsh reality that nothing is guaranteed in this league. And that mindset, that urgency, that's what separates champions from pretenders. So, is Drake Maye the next Tom Brady? It's too early to make that declaration with absolute certainty, but the foundation is there, the leadership is there, the talent is there, the culture is there, the coaching is there, and most importantly, the humility is there. Robert Kraft has seen this movie before. He knows what greatness looks like in its early stages. And when the owner who watched the greatest dynasty in NFL history says he sees similarities between his current quarterback and the GOAT, you better pay attention. The Patriots are back in the playoffs. Drake Maye is at the helm, and Foxborough is about to find out if lightning can strike twice. Buckle up, football fans. We might be witnessing the birth of the next New England legend. And if you don't believe it yet, just wait until Sunday when the snow starts falling and that kid from North Carolina shows the world what Patriot football is all about.